The Nerd Academy podcast is released weekly at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, available on our website at www.thenerdacademypodcast.com and wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You can also help support the show by going to patreon.com/The Nerd Academy podcast, where every donation allows us to bring you more exciting content every week.
Good morning, class, and welcome back to the Nerd Academy podcast, your source for nerddom news and commentary. I am your superior web headmaster, Jarod Bachman-Stubbs, and joining me, as always, is your resident Green Lantern professor, Travis Grossman.
Okay, incorrect.
I, too, have a bottle. It's some of that artisan soda that my family picked up when we were in Pittsburgh at that weird candy shop. I'm sipping on some butterscotch root beer.
I've got cherry vanilla Coke.
Ooh, a man of culture. Cherry vanilla is the best. This butterscotch root beer, though, it's a new favorite. I really like it. We got some news for you guys this week. Yeah, lots of fun stuff, some interesting stuff. A story I missed from last week somehow. But reply that. Okay, cool. So, jumping into our first story this week, sound the alarm, throw the flag up. This is a rumor, and we are going to say that word a lot. According to the now former Movie Trivia Schmoedown Teams Champion of the World, Jeff Snyder, he has claimed that Spider-Man No Way Home is going to feature Willem Defoe reprising his role as the Green Goblin, taking up the mantle of main villain, presumably leading some form of the Sinister Six that will feature Alfred Molina as Dr. Octopus, Jamie Foxx as Electro, Thomas Hayden Church as the Sandman, and allegedly also featuring the Lizard and the Rhino from The Amazing Spider-Man. This is interesting stuff, and I'm not. Travis, I want to get your thoughts here before I kind of start ranting.
Willem being back isn't far-fetched to me. That Sinister Six lineup is kind of far-fetched to me. You know?
Yeah, that's kind of where I am. It's not necessarily that I don't want Thomas Hayden Church back or anything like that. I am very
that just doesn't sound like we would have heard more rumors before. You know what I mean?
Friggin' Paul Giamatti played the Rhino in Amazing Spider-Man 2. Like, how are we hearing about Alfred Molina and Jamie Foxx? And freaking Paul Giamatti just slips under the radar? That doesn't sound right to me. You know, and again, I'm not trying to say that Snyder's necessarily lying, I've always said that there's a difference between getting bad information and spreading misinformation. And I very much want the Willem Dafoe part of this to be true. I'd be cool if all of this rumor is true. I would just be so stunned if they really got them under the wire here. And somehow Paul Giamatti, and, maybe you don't need Paul Giamatti to be playing Rhino. Maybe you just have him do the voice because Rhino is in that mech at the end of TASM 2. And I can't remember the name of the actor who played the Lizard in TASM 1, but that's also very possible. So a lot of this story surprises me. And it feels like we're reaching critical mass. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, I don't want to shoot this down, but this also is big. And if this proves to be true, this is massive. And I'm kind of getting what I always wanted when they were like, fuck it, we'll do multiverse. Or part of me was like, all right, well, my favorite Spider-Man can face off against all my favorite Spider-Man villains. All that's missing is all that's missing is like a real showdown with Carnage and Venom. Like that, or then Superior Spider-Man happening after that. Like I got nothing left to request, but I do hope at the very least the Willem Defoe stuff proves to be true.
For sure.
One moment. I apologize. Moving on here. Little quickie story. We have some. Yes, we have some release date swapping.
For movies we don't know.
We don't know. Well, all we know is that one of them was in the Marvel slate of like, this is a date reserved for a Marvel movie. And that it goes from October 7th of 2022 to October 6th of 2023. Quickie story there. So there's also other just general Disney dates that are getting moved around. Nothing too crazy there. Here's a story from last week that ties in with the story about Jack Quaid being our new animated Superman, and that I somehow, some way, forgot to add this last week. Batman Caped Crusader animated series coming from Bruce Timm, J.J. Abrams, and Matt Reeves, set at HBO Max and Cartoon Network. Reading directly from the Deadline article here. Batman Caped Crusader, an animated series from executive producers Bruce Timm, J.J. Abrams, and Matt Reeves, received a straight-to-series order from HBO Max and Cartoon Network. The reimagining of the Batman mythology is produced by Warner Brothers Animation, Bad Robot, and Six in Idaho, and marks Batman the Animated Series producer Bruce Timm's return to Batman, an animated episodic series. The animated series, that was the weird typo in the article, but president of WB Animation says as follows: "It is always fun to see the insatiable appetite fans have for all things Batman. Batman Caped Crusader will entertain first-time and diehard fans alike, and such an impressive creative team in place. We know we have another future Batman classic in the making." I like this a lot. I like that Bruce Timm is involved. I think that kind of comes with a potential expectation of a certain animation style to return. I don't necessarily know if that's the case. I think it is irresponsible. That's a word. I think it's somewhat irresponsible and fan servicey to be like, this is confirmation that we're getting some type of continuation of the DC AEU.
Yeah, I don't think that's what this is at all.
No.
It might have a similar animation style for sure, but just like the cover art we got with those weird ears, right?
Yeah.
I think this is probably the project that didn't Kevin Smith hint at another Batman animated series coming to HBO Max?
He did. I forgot about that. I think I remember what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, this is probably what he was talking about.
Yeah. I'm interested. It looks very like Batman's first appearance with the crazy ears on the cowl. So I'm curious the direction they go in with this. With Matt Reeves' involvement, I'm curious to see if this is meant to be some type of prequel to The Batman or not. The
It's
implied arts.
Just to like show for like they like, hey, we like what you're doing with this script. Let's have you flex some more Batman stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, there's also the fact that like Batman the animated series was that weird, like it uses the same theme song as Tim Burton, but like borrows some aesthetic cues from Burton, and then is completely its own thing other than that. So I'm very excited for this. I'm very excited to see what the cast looks like by the time we get that news. I feel like it goes without saying that everybody wants to see Conroy back. he, unlike Mark Hamill, has never like truly quit Batman.
Yeah.
So I feel like with Bruce Timm being behind this, I feel like it's not that outrageous an idea for him to be able to be like, "Hey, Kevin,
You wanna hop on this? You wanna
you wanna say some Batman shit for me, please?" Hell, I think with Bruce Timm, there's even a chance that Hamill's in this. You know, I feel like with that gas, I don't think it's unrealistic.
Yeah. I
So
think if he isn't like a continuing main villain, if he shows up like once, you know.
yeah, yeah, you know, you can't make Joker like a mainline thing, and I think that would necessitate like a responsible use of the Joker as a character.
Yeah.
So like not being able to just rely on um him as just like this endless well of villainy.
It's another Joker scheme,
Yep.
you know.
Moving on to another story here. One that will not surprise anybody at all if you've been paying attention even a little bit. Travis can officially confirm that he is playing Moon Knight.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. We have mouse money now.
Yeah, we have mouse money now.
Clearly I have mouse money.
Yes.
Who does have a lot of mouse money now is Oscar Isaac, because
yeah, he's double dipping. No, what you guys don't realize is that Travis does in fact have mouse money. What you're seeing behind him is being projected by one of those volume things. Like the Batman sign, the window, the air conditioner, all of it. It's
none
just
of
a
it's
volume.
real. None of it's real.
It's all volume. Even Platt. Platt's been trademarked by Disney now. Here's a fun story. This is there's so much like this is a thing news this week. Yeah. And don't worry, I think our last story we're gonna end up like, or next to last story is gonna be one that we kind of loop back into talking about the first story. Yeah. But this is interesting stuff. So again, reading from Anthony D'Alessandro of Deadline, Danny Gurira to reprise role as Okoye in Black Panther Wakanda Forever, not surprising, and Disney Plus Origin spinoff series. Deadline is reporting that sources say that Danny Gurira will be returning as Okoye, General of the Dora Milaje, in Ryan Coogler's upcoming Black Panther Wakanda Forever, as well as reprising the character in an Origin spinoff series for Disney Plus. Now, here's what I want to ask you. Do we think that Okoye's origin story and the Wakanda show are the same thing, or are they different projects?
I'm going to say they're the same thing, because I feel like that's like
that's a lot of Wakanda.
Yeah, and not even that it's too much, just that like if that's in the works, we probably would have heard about it by now. Right, with the big dump of all the shows we were getting.
Yeah.
It probably would have been like, it would have led with that, if that's like, you know, other than just here's the Wakanda show. Or maybe they didn't have a concept yet. They were like, we're going to have a show set in Wakanda. We don't know what it is yet. And they settle on this. And now it's going in that slot.
Now, speculation. Rampant speculation. Do you think this might be hinting at whom the next Black Panther is? Because, like, I've been very much Shuri is the obvious pick.
Yeah,
but, like,
and I think she still is.
I think she still is, but I think it's an interesting move to give Okoye a whole ass prequel show. You know what I mean? Like,
I think
that
it
seems
to give us a center character. We get a center character that we know from the movies, right? In a place that we want to explore more, and you don't have to worry about running into problems with Chadwick, because he would be either a kid or just not around. You can recast pretty much, or not recast. You can bring back the actor who played T'Chaka. Right? Like, it's easier to set your Wakanda show previous to current MCU. Just, to not conflict with the story of Wakanda Forever. Like, it gives you that space.
Yeah.
And also, again, like setting it in through Okoye's perspective just makes sense because it's a character we know who would have been around then.
Yeah. Oh, there goes that bottle cap. But no, yeah, that makes sense to me. I think it's a really interesting move. Obviously, I love Okoye. I love all the Wakanda stuff. I'm very interested to see how this pans out. T'Chaka is one of those characters that I'm like weirdly fascinated by for no reason. Like in the same kind of way where like there's members of the Jedi Council that I'm like, give me more Coyote Mundi. You know what I mean?
Well, I think the thing with T'Chaka is that like he was the Black Panther. He was operating, like during Captain Marvel time. We just don't see him. So like to see what he's doing behind the scenes, like literally he has operations in America. You know? So
I also really love his costume when we see him for like 30 seconds in Black Panther.
Mm-hmm.
So if it is excuse to see more of that outfit, I'm down for it. I muted myself because my body was about to make a disgusting noise because this made my tummy bubble a little bit. So, bringing back more Spider-Man multiversal nonsense. I am not quite prepared to check the confirm box on this yet because I've seen a lot of trades reporting on it, but it's mid-tier trades. And quite frankly, the most reputable source I've seen report on this is Rotten Tomatoes. And that is not a knock against Rotten Tomatoes and its own like journalistic integrity or whatever. But like my personal rule of I wait to see Variety or Deadline or Hollywood Reporter that I will be okay with talking about something as though it is fact.
If they're saying it. Yeah.
And to my knowledge, I've not seen Deadline, Vanity Fair, Variety, Hollywood Reporter, any of those touch this. And there's another story I almost forgot. We can talk about that in a minute when we're done with this as well. So, I am treating this as rumor. Aaron Taylor Johnson of Avengers Age of Ultron fame, who played the original Quicksilver, who played the Pietro who got turned to Swiss cheese, is allegedly joining the Marvel Sony side of things as Kraven the Hunter.
Deadline does have it.
Deadline is reporting?
Yep.
All right. Well, I stand corrected. Then let's talk about it for real then. So we've known that there's a Kraven movie in development, allegedly based on Kraven's Last Hunt, which how you try to do Kraven's Last Hunt unless it directly involves Spider-Man, I don't know. That's on that list of I don't know what the hell you think you're doing, but go for it, I guess. Maybe it'll just be Venom. But yeah, it looks like he's going to be joining the pantheon of Spider-Man Rogues Gallery movies, where you have Venom and Morbius and Carnage, and now the Vulture. Or you have the MCU Vulture in it, which then implies that this may be tied into the MCU, and Kraven the Hunter just looks a hell of a lot like Quicksilver. Like, it's not that big of a deal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's Not
I didn't
necessarily
recognize him
poorly.
in Tenet. You know, he looks very different now.
He does. And the fact that like he has a certain look in Age of Ultron, he is very easy to kind of disappear into a new role. So like I don't think with him there will be that oh, Wanda's like, you look like my brother. Why didn't she say that he looks like Quicksilver? That like I don't think there'll be any of that nonsense, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like I'm not that worried about that on that level. It's just that this trend, this very, very aggressive trend of adding to this universe that is at the very least MCU adjacent, right? So like, is this a multiverse thing? Is this actually Kraven? Does this Kraven interact with Tom Holland's Spider-Man? Does Tom Holland play Spider-Man in a Kraven's Last Hunt movie? Also, Kraven's Last Hunt.
All of those questions have been
only-
asked in a Sony press room, and no one had an answer, and they greenlit it anyway.
Yes. Also, this is just like this is the same conversation we had about Batman versus Superman. The fight between Bruce and Clark only has weight because this is like Obi-Wan and Anakin going to blows. This is two best friends, and the shit is hitting the fan, and it has been a long time coming because they had this deep tension between each other. You cannot have Batman and Superman have their "I'm the one man who beat you" fight the first time they meet each other, practically. You can't have the introduction to Kraven the goddamn Hunter be Kraven's Last Hunt. That doesn't make any sense.
And that's exactly why Sony's going to do it.
I don't get it, man. I don't understand. Like, this is... And it's not like Kraven's like a character who exists in the pop culture pantheon that you can start at the end of their story, right? This isn't like how, in theory, Batman's or Ben Affleck's Batman was supposed to kind of be like a Dark Knight Returns type version of him. Because everybody's so familiar with Batman as like a cultural concept that you can get away with starting at the end of his story because like everybody gets it. Everybody knows what's up at this point. But you can't do that with Kraven the Hunter. Nobody knows who Kraven is. Most normal people aren't familiar with him. Hell, he's not even in the new Spider-Man game, so you can't even make that bullshit argument. That like he has a little bit of name cachet with like the mid core to hardcore fan base, right? It's just a really interesting pick because again, that was the big rumor that they're developing Kraven's Last Hunt, if I'm correct. So the attempt to adapt that story is head scratching, and then again, you have the added confusion. How does this tie into the MCU? Because Sony decided they're going to start twisting arms and make the implications that shit is happening in the MCU. And it seems like Disney and Sony are getting along at this moment. And that I think we're going to get answers to these questions. I do think we will. If for no other reason than it'll be Disney doing some legwork to make that happen. But I feel like Sony would not be playing a very weird game here unless they had permission to do weird, questionable shit. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. There's a part of me that, knowing the... Because, Sony had that big deal with Netflix, and then everybody got a little cagey about what's going on with Spider-Man. And then, like, a week later, it's like, oh, Spider-Man's coming to Disney Plus, boys and girls, don't you worry. I'm curious as to what this has in store and what this means for the MCU. other than all of the weird logistical questions, I think it's a good casting choice.
Yeah, I agree.
It's
I think what's happening is Sony wants to cash in on the superhero hype. They're a little late. They're a lot late. But because Spider-Man now is in the MCU, they can't just slam out Spider-Man movies. So instead, this is like somewhere in the writers, like not writers room, but like in the boardroom, they went, this is our avenue. We're going to make villain movies about rogues gallery people, specifically characters not being used in the MCU that maybe like would warrant a hard R, or they have a trouble adapting to a PG-13, right?
Yeah.
Because we've seen Venom, Carnage, Morbius, and now Kraven, right?
All
So,
characters who I feel like you could do the most with on a hard R rating. But like we also just got confirmation last week, and I didn't think it was newsworthy, so I didn't bring it up. But like we know Venom 2 has a PG-13.
and I think that's like just them not knowing their own process, right? Like they went in with the like Disney will never touch these because, but then also as they started working, went, well, no one will watch this if, right? And so they do. And granted, Venom did well, but like they're doing this to cash in on the superhero flick craze without needing actual Spider-Man and without impeding on the MCU by using characters that like maybe Disney has come to them and said, here's the list of characters we like don't want you to touch. Anything else is fair game. And on that list was any symbiote, Kraven, Morbius, whoever else.
Yeah. It's just also, it seems like such a weird turn, because at first the MCU Spider-Man stuff, right up front with Homecoming, we get this wave of new villains. We've never seen the Vulture. We've never seen the Tinkerer. We've never seen Shocker. Pardon me. Tickle in my throat. And in one movie, we get Vulture, Tinkerer, Shocker. And then a movie later, we get Mysterio as well as interpretations and toned down versions of Hydro Man and Molten Man and all of that stuff. So we've gotten, like, they've been very ardent on we're doing new villains. And I feel like a third Spider-Man movie where Spider-Man's identity has been outed and he's on the run, like, Kraven is the obvious choice. But then they decide, no, we're going to do this crazy-ass multiverse movie. And everything's going to cycle around the return of Toby and Andrew. And in tow, Alfred Molina is Dr. Octopus, Jamie Foxx is Electro. Apparently, Willem Defoe is the green friggin' Goblin. So I think it's a weird shift where Sony's like slowly going, no, we're going to play with these new villains and you can have characters we've already used. And not only that, here are their actors as well. I think there's something interesting and weird to be said about that. That like, I don't know what the change in marketing and and maybe there isn't a change, but like, I want to know what the internal plan at Sony or Marvel or both is, that like that's been the big change. I personally, and this is one of the reasons why I was so hesitant and skeptical of all the rumors about what No Way Home is shaping up to be. But this feels like the first time that the MCU is going with a fan idea. You know what I mean? And like, pardon me. It's almost, how can I put this? There was always like, oh, like I wish MCU would do this or that or this story or that story. And there was never it never felt like within a 2.5 to 3 year turnaround time, Marvel was like, here's that thing you were requesting, right? Do you feel me? Do you follow me?
That
Where there was out loud have
There was-
Toby and Andrew come back.
that the clamor after animated Spider-Verse came out.
Yeah.
And that fan poster of the three of them standing next to each other or whatever, and people are like, this would be so cool, but it'll never happen. And now it looks like that's what we're getting. Seems suspicious.
And I'm not complaining, I'm excited for it. I'm so glad that we're gonna have that gets to be probably our end of the year review. Right.
And it makes, because then there's a couple of conflicting thought processes there where it's like, why wouldn't they shut down that fan stuff if it's like you're giving away our plot? But also, if they already had it in the works, where does do they just go, well, they're promoting this thing and everyone's hyped up for it and they think they're not going to get it, so we're just going to leave it and surprise them with it all at once?
Because this doesn't feel like this was the plan.
Yeah, exactly.
And I get, maybe we're wrong. Maybe we're completely wrong. Maybe the plan to do multiversal shit has always been in the works. And maybe because of the Fantastic Four and the X-Men that they're like, we need to figure out a way to expedite some multiverse bullshit to make all of this make sense. I don't know, but it feels weirdly perfectly timed. And I'm not complaining because John Watts has not let us down yet. And the MCU has not had a bad movie. So I will follow this where it goes, see what happens next. But I don't know. All of this feels so weird. And it's been since the beginning that it felt a little too, there's a part of me that when I see one of these rumors pop up, even if it's coming from THR, Deadline, or Vanity, whatever, there's a part of me that's like, this feels
off.
We got this covered. There's in that same way that nerd journalism happens all the time with your Mike Zeros and whatever. And, after this past week, Collider has been in some hot water because they've just been absolutely shitting the bed with some terrible editorial stuff. That you'll have obvious clickbait brouhaha discourse that slowly turns into a headline about rumors of thing that will cause brouhaha clickbait discourse, and the way that those two things are inextricably linked. And it has this weird vibe of it with all the multiverse stuff. And there's also rumors that by the time this episode is out tomorrow, you guys may have already seen the trailer for No Way Home. If those rumors prove true, where they keep talking about how the reoccurring thing has been dropping trailers at the beginning of the month and or on actors' birthdays, and from what I understand, tomorrow is both of those things for Tom Holland.
Yes, that is true.
They did that for Shang-Chi. They did it with something else they did it for, I think with Venom or whatever. There's been a reoccurring thing. So by the time you guys hear from us on this show, by the time you hear the next show next Tuesday, there's a good chance that's a trailer recap, and we're talking about whether or not we saw anything that even almost implies multiversal stuff. Because marketing is going to have to start soon. Granted, we've seen that Marvel has become more and more favorable to waiting till the last minute to really start marketing stuff. But yeah, This is an interesting time to be a Spider-Man fan. And I, at the very least, am glad we are back to an era of rampant speculation. Now, I'm going to bring up one more story here before I ask you to summon Alexis for our last story, because it is a doozy, and I want to watch both of you lose your shit for it. Last story. Allegedly, Todd Phillips is hard at work writing a sequel to Joker. Allegedly, per the Hollywood Reporter, it seems like here a sequel to 2019's Joker starring Joaquin Phoenix is seemingly finally in the works, with the script co-written by Todd Phillips. The news was published discreetly by the Hollywood Reporter in the middle of a list of Hollywood's most powerful lawyers. While THR's list is filled mostly with descriptions of lawyers, their clients, and important projects they helped to handle, a single line could have officially confirmed the Joker is getting a sequel. In the section dedicated to lawyer Warren Dern, we can read that his client Todd Phillips struck a deal to co-write the next Joker installment. So that can mean one of two things. That can mean that in the event we do a sequel, they have him ready. He also could, as we speak, be working on a Joker 2 screenplay. Now, do they whip up the amount of money that would make Solomon blush that it would require to make Joaquin come back? I don't know. But allegedly, there might be a Joker sequel in the works. And it'll be a good time once Travis and I get to reading that. So, all of that said, Mr. Grossman, would you please summon Alexis, because you guys are going to love this shit.
I'm not sure she's going to want to. Because I knew about this before it was in the notes. And so we were reading it this morning. And like, just the genuine trauma that it caused.
Oh, okay. Well, I was messaging her and I was asking if she wanted to come on for I didn't tell her what it was. I wanted to avoid any spoiler with it. So
the other night she was like, "Is this a real thing that's happening?" And I said, "Yes," but I didn't know about I knew about the script leaks. I didn't know if they were real. And so
I was so hoping you would both miss them. I was so hoping this was going to fly under the radar. God damn it.
Bad.
Either way. So, for those of you at home, here's a fun little
Lexi. I think she has her earbuds in now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to come talk about the mistake that is the CW?
Yeah.
That scared me. While Alexis is getting situated, as some of you may or may not know, there's the live action CW Powerpuff Girls adaptation that is in the works at the CW. And late last week, we got confirmation that they are reworking the pilot because it just wasn't up to snuff.
Left.
So, the fact that the CW went, this isn't quite good enough, is already a lot of red flags. The highs and lows of high school football. But we have art. Allegedly, the script leaked. And there were a lot of people who were all kind of in unison going, this cannot be real. This cannot be real. And then the tweet that originated the script leak was taken down by Warner Media for copyright purposes. Ladies and gentlemen, this script is 100% fucking real.
I don't know about that.
I don't know why. I feel like WB would not put themselves in the situation.
I
where
don't
they're
think they had a
allowing
choice.
themselves to take responsibility for this. And we're reading it on air. Don't worry. We're going to read
Oh,
it.
good. That's good. I think because it like they have the right to, even if it's not real, just because it has the Powerpuff Girls stuff in it, right? Like, and if it had a cover page that said Powerpuff Girls or Powerpuff, whatever the name of the show is, that they are allowed to do that. I'm pretty sure. And seeing the reaction it got, I think warrants the like, we need to get this off the internet, which is impossible, but you know, they don't know that.
So here's why I feel like the existence of this on the internet is a dead to rights confirmation. One, the leak happens, and then not long after that, we get the news that they're reworking the pilot. So what that says to me, and I'm going to kind of like reference this most recent episode of Knights of the Nerd Republic. We were talking about like the post-production on The Rise of Skywalker. And Pete from Around the Galaxy, he brought up this amazing point where it's like how many people at Bad Robot were pissed about what they had to do and how crazy that post-production crunch was that they went, to hell with y'all, we're leaking shit. And they were like, this is going to end up on the cutting room floor anyway, leak it. I think that the news came to the people who were working on the Powerpuff Girls reboot that the pilot was getting reworked and that there was a lot of brouhaha and pissiness and the assumption that this script won't matter anyway because this will never go to shoot. Fuck it, leak it. Before I start reading, do either of you would rather be the ones to read some of this?
I don't think so.
No?
I mean, I know I don't.
I love that.
Maybe. Because I've read it
You've read
already.
it.
And my mouth was agape. It's up to you. I don't mind. I just would rather not read the last one. Unless that's the one you want me to read, then I will.
The last one is the bigger one with the Jerry Orbach joke.
Yeah, mostly the bottom half.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that part.
Up
Okay.
to you guys.
I will.
You can start.
Okay. I was behind the bar when I read this and I honked. I was like, and like people were at the bar and they were like, what are you laughing at? And I was like, my friend sent me a funny meme. And I'm like, I don't have time to explain to them, you know. Oh,
Yeah.
The
so you see
CW exists.
So the highs and lows of high school football. Bubbles. Blossom's fine. I saw on her Insta that she has a boyfriend. I saw on her LinkedIn that she got promoted. I saw on Facebook that she still talks to Grandpa despite their political differences. Buttercup. Coming back here is probably triggering for her. Bubbles. Why? Because she's the one who killed Mojo? I mean, moveon.org. So we're going to stop there for a second. One, moveon.org makes me want to ingest a lethal amount of alcohol. Just that phrase, that is that pinnacle of like, I'm 40 years old and I think this is what teenagers sound like bullshit. Like, I think I know what teens and 20-somethings talk like, and they say things like moveon.org.
Thebomb.com.
Thebomb.com. Second,
The bomb.
This is- thebomb.com. That just redirects you to Raytheon's website. If there's one shred of like, there's something here, it is in this bit that addresses the idea that Blossom has seemingly retired from being a Powerpuff Girl, has moved away, and like the assumption that Mojo Jojo is presumed dead. Like, there's a story there. There's a story there that in the hands of somebody who like can operate a keyboard might be able to tell. Like
He just
the
needed to love
concept,
JoJo.
The moment she wanted love.
the emoji.
Give him a
But, like,
hug.
Because like obviously this is telegraphing that we're getting that like Mojo Jojo isn't dead. You would not address the fact that he's dead without the guarantee that he will come back. So this on its own, I'm like, oh, in theory, like you could almost do something cool with this, but it's the CW, so it's going to be dookie water. Alexis, would you like the second one?
Bring it up for me, Travis. I can't guarantee you I can not read it in a monotone voice at the moment, but
That is okay.
I'm also probably going to take pauses because reading this today made me want to jump into traffic. I just want you to know, as a kid, I was a huge Powerpuff Girls fan. Huge.
Yeah.
I watched it all the time. I had a little Blossom stuffed toy keychain thing that I begged my mom to buy me when we were at the store one time when I was a kid. This is sickening. All of this that I'm reading, and it better not be true, and they shouldn't even be making this show to begin with. I hate it so much, and I'm tired of the rebooting. I'm tired of reboots. I'm tired of it. I'm sick and tired of it. But anyway, Buttercup. Bloss, wake up, or we'll leak your nudes everywhere. Off Bubbles' confusion. That worked on you once. What?
Someone got paid. Money exchanged hands. Like,
what?
This is like the equivalent of this being written, this being the final product, is tantamount to like if Travis is at work and you're putting away makeup products to just put it in the cooler with the fucking milk. Like you still got paid to like put hair color in the milk. Like you opened the milk, broke the sale.
Take a poo in the bathroom.
Yeah.
But in the sink.
Yeah.
Yes. Onto the walls. You know, like spell your name out.
Spell out Mojo Jojo.
No.
MoveOn.org.
Yeah.
Too soon.
Anyway. What is this? Does it go in order or what?
Yeah.
Okay. You can go ahead. I'm just reading along now.
I was gonna say, if you want to, do you want to read any of this page, or do you want me to take
I'll
it
read
from
the
here?
top part because
Okay, I'll let you read the top part because I frankly don't want to say one of the words in here myself on camera.
Okay. I have a quick question.
Yes.
Okay, I'm just gonna jump into it. Is this Drake the rapper, or is this Drake like
when I read it earlier, I said presumably Drake, like the performing artist, like the rapper, but we don't know.
There's like a breakdown that will like give this better context that's in this Mary Sue article that did great coverage on the leak. I wanted to read the leaked script and then jump into like so we can talk about more and give this better context. And kind of
do they have
through.
like the whole plot of the episode?
Not like the whole plot, but there's some like clarifications floating through here. Namely, that I think Drake is like just one of the male characters who's floating around. I don't think it is like I don't think it is Aubrey Drake, like the rapper from Canada. Although at this rate, why wouldn't it
Aubrey
be?
Graham?
Aubrey Graham. I know. I knew I had Aubrey right.
Yeah. So, Bubbles, Look, we loved being Powerpuff Girls, but sometimes we wanted to be other things too. Like in Dirty Dancing, Baby wanted to join the Peace Corps, but she also wanted to be a fancy slut. And her dad didn't get it. Drake, emotional. Jerry Orbach was doing his best to understand. Bubbles. God.
Come on.
You fancy slut. Like, Bubbles. Like, really?
Oh my God. There's a part of me that, like, if I won the lottery tomorrow, I'm paying off the original cast of Powerpuff Girls to read this script. And like selling the NFT for $8 trillion. They just hear like that voice just, she wanted to be a fancy slut. Like, I know I went ahead and said it anyway, but it'd be so fucking funny.
What is this garbage? I don't understand. Everything on the CW is garbage. Everything. And I was a fan of Riverdale. I was. I'm admitting that right now. I was a bughead.
Sometimes garbage is fun.
Until it says high school football, whatever. Like, what?
Then
What's
it gets better.
What's
the highs and lows of high school football.
The highs and lows of high school football. The highs and lows of
the
CW.
epic highs and lows of high school football.
Epic highs and lows.
Interior. Powerpuff Girls home. Hallway, Buttercup's room. Day. Blossom heads upstairs where the bumping sound continues from Buttercup's room.
No.
Then abruptly stops. Blossom opens the door and finds Buttercup in bed with Macy, the woman she eyed at the bar the night before. They've just finished. Blossom. Oh God, I'm sorry. Buttercup. It's fine. To Macy. We are done, right? Macy. I'd say 6 times is enough.
No. Stop it. Quit.
Dun, 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 dun. There's some other screenshots from the leaked screenplay. So, from what I understand, there is somebody who's like named JoJo, and they have like a connection to Mojo Jojo, but Mojo Jojo's dead. Like, it's this whole weird, like, I'm seeing comparisons to like Gotham or Titans, that it's like a lot of important storylines have already taken place, and we're just kind of living in the aftermath of them. So here's another one. Buttercup. I'm not wearing that dress anymore. It's compulsory heterosexuality. Blossom. Take it up with Dad. Exterior, Hollywood Boulevard, night. Q on a license plate. Bubbles 1 affixed to a baby blue Corvette. Adult Bubbles, still wearing her signature pigtails, pops the trunk. It's full of Powerpuff Girls merch and a price list. Selfies $20, t-shirts $30, selfie and shirt $45. Narrator, voiceover. Bubbles went to Hollywood, hoping to capitalize on her childhood fame. Childhood fame. After 2 stints in rehab and 3 failed reality show pilots, she had pivoted to direct sales. Bubbles announces herself to a pack of passing tourists. I'm Bubbles from the Powerpuff Girls, the real Bubbles. Unlike that Bobo knockoff Wonder Woman. Fake Wonder Woman, who looks really fake, turns and sticks her tongue out at Bubbles as the tourists continue to flock to her.
I hope the narrator is still Tom Kenny.
I do too. What? I didn't even say your name. Jojo. I've delivered on everything I promised except for free gelato Fridays, and that's only because the perfect scoop turned out to be a front for meth trafficking. Exasperated. Alicia Lawrence has no experience. She's impulsive and reactionary. I'm sorry. I'll read that again. Maybe you guys didn't hear me. I've delivered on everything I promised except for free gelato Fridays, and that's only because the perfect scoop turned out to be a front for meth trafficking.
I can't. Why? I just...
Is that
I didn't want to hear it again. I heard it the first time. Stupid. This is dumb. I don't understand. Like, who are they targeting? Who's the audience here? I don't understand. It's not
they're
us.
targeting like an imagined version of like late teens, early 20-somethings. Like the jokes in here that are like that's forced, like that's like compulsory heterosexuality. Like it sounds like something. It reads like something a Twitter leftist would say that would go viral. But it's missing all of the actual humor there.
What they need to be directing it at is towards the people who like grew up with it, you know? Because a lot of those people want to show it to their kids, and if they show this to their kids, that's traumatizing. Like,
yeah. Because I watch Powerpuff Girls. Yeah, here's
it's so bad.
Here's a sex scene in the pilot, like a really gratuitous one. Yeah, just this is impressively bad.
It's almost like they just want us to cancel it, just like with SpongeBob and all the new episodes. It's almost as if they're begging for us to shoot them in the foot. Like, end it, just end it now.
Butch was one of the Rowdy Rough Boys, right?
Yes. I love how you pulled up the one I was about to read, like with perfect timing.
Yeah,
because I exited out and then came back to it. So. Butch, last time I saw you, you broke off our engagement and told me you'd pawn the ring off for drugs. Bubbles, was that you?
So,
like, Jesus Christ.
I've said this before and I'll say it again. I think in the next couple of years, the CW will no longer be producing their own content.
Not a bad idea.
That's not even like a bit. I think legitimately, like, they will move away from their own production.
What? What is this?
Bad.
I was already in a bad mood, and here we go again. This just made it worse. Fuck. God, I'm sorry. Somebody needs fired at the CW. I'm sorry for my swearing, but, like, I've had enough. This is the last straw.
I need to clip that and just use that as a reaction video. Just, God, fuck!
No! Dear God, no! No! I feel like Michael Scott. Like, I just... Why? Can I go home? Is it time for me to go home?
If we reach a certain amount of patrons by the end of the week, we'll do a live episode where we read the script as like a table read.
No. I don't have time for that. I'm making myself have plans.
I'm making myself have plans.
I'm sorry that I swore, but dear Lord.
Sorry, Joel drops bombs more than anybody at this point. He was good for like 5 on Campus Life.
Campus Life is different, though. He told us we can do it on Campus Life, not the other shows.
That's fair. Well, this one doesn't count because I'm reading from the original poster of the tweet that linked us to the script in the first place. This was after it was deleted. I said, where he said, look, I'm not saying you can't radically reinvent an existing IP, take some risks, and do something new. But seriously, who thought anyone wanted to see the Powerpuff Girls, but they fuck? And I think that is a good place to wrap up this very depressing story that is hilarious. Lexi, where can the lovely people find you, old friend?
Crawling in a hole and shriveling up. on Twitter at LexiLion98. On TikTok at LexiLion98 now that Jarod outed me the other day on the other show. At Acapella98 on Instagram. I think, yeah. I'm distraught. I'm sorry.
I'm distraught.
Thank goodness Travis lives on a main road because I'm just gonna run out there.
No,
I was.
that was on me.
I just want to say, last week when this story broke, I was like, oh, this is gonna be fun to read when Alexis is on. I was like, this is
Earlier
delivered.
today, Travis, because I told him about the Cruella pack of wild
The
dogs,
rabid pack of Dalmatians.
and he was like, "Well, do you want to know something about the CW Powerpuff Girls?" And I was like, no. Give me the phone. Let me read it myself.
I deserve to find out on my own.
I mean, you did read it to me a little
I read
bit,
you a
but
few, and then I was like, you can read. Like, I only saw the first tweet, and I was like, I'm not going to read this one unless you really want me to. It was the Buttercup one.
I can't.
It's
Anyway,
so
did you say, how about you, Travis? Where are you?
I'm on Twitter
Found.
and Instagram at Travis.
Where
Blue.
are you?
Where are you?
Somewhere in space.
Travis Political, Twitter, Instagram.
Black Leader 439 on Twitch.
Black Leader 439 on Twitch.
Yeah. Jarod.
Jarod. Donde? I'm sorry, I'm still distraught.
No, it's okay. We all
I'm
needed
speaking
it.
different languages.
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok at DarkJedi2552. You can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Look at the website, nerdacademypodcast.com. There's Patreon there. And speaking of the Patreon patrons, thank you to our $10 alumnus, Case and Brion, the Waffle Wizard, Dalton Knight, and Zach and Nouse. You guys help us make the content that we love to produce. At time of record, let me say this. At the time you're hearing this, $5 patrons will be getting the latest episode of the Versus series tomorrow. So check that out. $5 tier, Heroic History 101, and the Teen At Movie Club audio commentaries. Student store link on the website. Get some merch. Get your merch on. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Do all those things. Yeah. Thank you all for watching. And class dismissed.